Okay, what was the biggest challenge of filming Wonder Woman 1984? I had a lot of different influences. I think that, there were a couple. There's not just one set, there were so many sets. Where did I go to college? I went to the Cooper Union of Arts and Sciences in New York City. Tiny school, but one that I love, and I was obsessed with going to from the time that I was junior high on, and only 20 people a year go, so it was the greatest thing when I got in, and it was a great experience and is a great, great, great school. Painting, architecture, and engineering. I went for fine arts, architecture and engineering. I went for fine arts for painting, immediately crossed over to filmmaking. Okay, what was the biggest challenge of filming Wonder Woman 1984? It's an interesting question because filming any of these huge movies, like there are so many challenges. Every day is a challenge. Longevity of the schedule is a challenge because it goes on and on. But honestly, I think this time the biggest challenge was we were super ambitious to make a kind of movie that doesn't get made that easily anymore, which is a practical tentpole extravaganza where we did so much of it for real on wires at real locations. And that's hard. That's very, very hard because the wire work that's possible now wasn't even possible in the time that I'm talking about where people were making these movies. So we were doing a ton of things for the first time. And, and you're going on a wing and a prayer that you're going to pull off something super ambitious, which I am super excited to say that I feel we did. So that was the most challenging thing. I had a lot of different influences. I think that, a lot of the great filmmakers that were working during my youth and when I was a teenager and when I was, a young adult, I was very obsessed with Pedro Almodovar and I watched every single film he did from start to finish. Martin Scorsese, the Coen brothers really were rocking my world. Hal Ashby, Richard Donner, Steven Spielberg, all of these people, Robert Zemeckis, such a huge influence on me. But I have to say, I think the biggest influence on me was music. Music was my first love. And then listening to film scores became like a huge, huge part of my life. And so, interestingly, music and other arts had as much of an influence on me as a filmmaker as anything. And they were my great education. And it turned out that I wanted to be a filmmaker. But, I think it's the arts that I studied and, painting and photography that had the biggest influence. I think the answer is every film you do is so very different that it's hard to say what sets them aside. Everything sets them aside. I think the joy. Honestly, I've never had so much fun making a movie and made a movie with so many people that I love and that make me laugh and that I have a good time with. So when I look back, all of us when we were parting, Gal and I and Chris and Kristen and Pedro and all of my crew who I love so much, there were moments where we pinched ourselves and said God, we're always going to remember this experience. We've had so much fun and sometimes you feel like you're making a at-home video with your friends, except for it's on this massive scale. But honestly, I think that's what sets this movie aside. We had a blast making it, and it makes me laugh and brings me joy every time I watch it, and ends up being about something I really care about too. But the experience is one of the things that sets it apart that's most memorable. There were a couple, there's not just one set, there were so many sets. There were a couple sets that were amazing. One of which was that we basically built an entire mall and it was like an empty shell of a pre-existing mall, but we had to do this incredible wire rig built through the entire place. So we had to rebuild this whole mall, all the stores, all the things. And when I was shopping and a young teenager in 1984. So when I went to this mall and saw all these stores and all of these products that I had experienced, it was so incredible to be there and feel like you're back in the era, truly feel like you're transported back to the era. So that was a great one. Our Smithsonian set is so gorgeous. We have a bunch of sets and then we shot in some really incredible places. All right, what do I hope that audiences take away from Wonder Woman 1984? I hope that they have a great time and really enjoy themselves and enjoy the whole time that they're there. But at the end of the day, I hope that they take home a meaningful message that moves them and stays in their mind, not unlike the great movies that, have stuck with me through my life. I've told the story many times of when I saw Superman for the first time, and not only was it an incredible experience, but I never stopped thinking about it, and it influenced who I am as a person. So I aspire for something that, that lasting, but also something that they really love and enjoy watching.